Welcome to the Mildura Weekly, and joining me today is the member for Mallee, Dr Anne Webster. And welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me. Great to be back.
And the horticultural workforce community consultation group have been in the region. What have they been hearing, and how's that been going?
Look, I'm really pleased that the consultation has been taking place. I met with the Prime Minister and had been lobbying 6 ministers who have particular connection to it, whether it's employment or home affairs or immigration, and agriculture, of course, and others. So it was very important that they understood the crisis that we face at this point in time, heading towards harvest. It's exacerbated by the time frame, of course, and the long-standing issues that we've had with workforce that has not been available. We haven't had the right workers in the right places at the right time. So practices have evolved, of course, and so to switch and change those practices is very important for the integrity of our horticultural industry and our global trade in general. So it's been very important to have the departments here. We've had 6 departments here over the last 2 weeks as a direct result of that lobbying and that speaking with the Prime Minister. He's very concerned about this issue and has been involved in the discussions. And so the consultations have taken place in Mildura last week, Swan Hill this week, which I was hosting, and then Tuesday in Mildura again. There were many stakeholders involved in those meetings, talking about issues such as accommodation as a key factor. How do you house 15,000 people? That's a critical issue. It is a state issue, so I believe that the state member is also working on that now with the minister concerned in the state government. But regarding visas and the implementation and accessibility of workforce, that's federal, and so I'm waiting to hear the result of the findings that the consultation has produced. So the Department of Agriculture has taken a head role in this. It's a really important discussion that I have encouraged stakeholders to stay engaged with me. I'm meeting with more today, and we're looking for results. We're not looking for talk, we're looking for results. And so that is going to be a complicated, complex, knotted piece of yarn to undo, because it's been going on for so long.
Yeah, well, there's some action happening, that's the main thing.
Yes, indeed.
The plight of the Millewa farmers, that's something that you've been actively pursuing as well, and you have been critical of the state's response thus far. Where's all of that at?
Yes, I have been critical of the state's response, which is next to not very much at all, in comparison to the New South Wales government. So the New South Wales government has put in place many practical assistance points for farmers and their families and the communities. So the federal government, of course, is responsible for the community's drought funding program, which has been rolled out in 3 of our shires, because it goes through councils. We've also got the Farm Household Assistance Grant funds, which are very important for farmers to be able to access on an ongoing basis through this incredibly difficult time. The Millewa farmers, I have spoken with them, and I've also spoken with David Littleproud, Minister for Drought. He and I have been discussing over a period of weeks what additional help can we provide. And I believe that there are further announcements to come out very shortly. But in the interim, the Regional Investment Corporation is something that the federal government has put in place that allows farmers to access low interest loans where they can actually purchase, for example, permanent water for those who require permanent water rather than temporary water. The water market is outrageously high now anyway, and it's really put many farmers at risk. Out in the Millewa, the RIC, the Regional Investment Corporation, could be used for infrastructure to build, to prepare for drought going into the future. Nothing's going to resolve a drought other than rain, but there are investments and a great deal of empathy and concern that the federal government has been putting in place.
And with the little time you have on your hands, you've been travelling through the electorate. The further south you go, it's a slightly more optimistic picture. But what's your overall view of, in talking with farmers, how things are throughout the electorate?
Yeah, look, I've been down to Warracknabeal and Wurranook down in the Wimmera in the last couple of days, and farmers tell me that there's just this risk if we don't get a good rain that the crops, which look magnificent right now, the canola, I swear, is waist height or higher, and some of the grains that they're just looking magnificently green, but they tell me that if we don't get more rain, that it will be at risk. And the other thing is that we can't afford a late frost at this point in time, which will also create significant problems. So, yeah, look, we're still kind of in that keep breathing, and it looks fabulous, but, looks can be deceiving.
Well, Anne, thanks very much for coming in. We'll look forward to
Pleasure.
speaking with you again soon.
Thanks very much, John.
And be sure to get all your local news at milduraweekly.com.au.